Don't fear your future, because Allah has already written it with wisdom, mercy and purpose. My beloved brothers and sisters, so much of our anxiety comes from what has not even happened yet. We overthink tomorrow, worry about outcomes, and imagine problems that may never come. We fear failure, rejection and uncertainty, forgetting that our future is not in our hands, it is in the hands of Allah. The one who brought you this far without you knowing how, the one who solved problems you thought would never end, is the same one who is writing your future right now. When you truly understand this, your heart begins to calm down. You stop trying to control everything and you begin to trust, because what Allah writes is never random, and what He plans is always better than what you fear. Your future is already written by Allah. Your future is not something random or uncertain. It is already written by Allah with complete knowledge and perfect wisdom. Before you were even born, your life, your tests, your provision and your path were all known and decreed by Him. This is not meant to make you feel restricted, but to bring you peace. Because when you understand that your future is already written, you realize that nothing can take away what is meant for you, and nothing can give you what is not written. This removes a deep layer of anxiety from your heart. You stop fearing the unknown and begin to trust the one who knows everything. Your life is not unfolding without direction. It is unfolding exactly as Allah has planned, and that plan is always filled with wisdom, even when you do not understand it. My beloved brothers and sisters, many of our worries come from trying to control what we were never meant to control. You think about the future and feel pressure, as if everything depends on your decisions alone. But Allah reminds us that He is Al-Alim, the one who knows all things, and Al-Hakim, the one whose wisdom is perfect. When your future is written by such a creator, how can you truly fear it? Even when things seem unclear, there is a plan behind it. Even when things feel delayed, there is a reason for it. This belief allows your heart to soften and your thoughts to slow down, because you realize that you are not walking blindly through life. When you truly accept that your future is already written, overthinking begins to lose its power over you. You stop replaying scenarios in your mind and trying to predict every outcome. You realize that no matter how much you think, you cannot change what Allah has already decreed. This understanding does not make you passive, it makes you peaceful. You still take action, you still plan, but your heart is not attached to controlling every result. You begin to live with a balance between effort and trust, and that balance brings a calmness that overthinking could never give you. There is a deep comfort in knowing that what is meant for you will never miss you. You may worry about opportunities, relationships or outcomes, but if something is written for you, it will reach you no matter what stands in the way. And if something misses you, it was never meant for you, no matter how much you desired it. This belief protects your heart from regret. Instead of constantly thinking, what if, you begin to say, Allah knows best. And in that statement, you find peace, because you trust that Allah's knowledge is greater than your understanding. Sometimes you may look at your life and feel confused about where things are going. You may not see the purpose behind certain events or understand why things are happening the way they are. But just because you cannot see the full picture does not mean there is no plan. Allah sees what you cannot see. He knows what is ahead, what is hidden, and what is best for you in ways you cannot imagine. When you remind yourself of this, your confusion begins to turn into trust. You no longer feel lost, you feel guided. Even if the path is not fully clear, dua becomes more meaningful when you know your future is already written. You are not asking Allah to change something randomly. You are asking Him within the knowledge of what He has already decreed, and Allah in His mercy allows your dua to be part of that decree. Your prayers are not separate from your destiny, they are included in it. This understanding strengthens your connection with Allah. You make dua with hope, knowing that your voice matters and that Allah listens and responds in the best way. Fear of failure begins to fade when you accept that your future is in Allah's hands. You no longer see failure as something that destroys your path, but as something that is part of your journey. If something does not work out, it is not because you are incapable, it is because Allah has written something better for you. This perspective changes how you deal with setbacks. Instead of being broken by them, you grow through them. You learn, you adjust, adjust and you continue, knowing that every step is part of a greater plan. Patience becomes easier when you trust in what Allah has written for you. When things are delayed, you do not feel abandoned. You feel that there is wisdom behind the timing. You understand that Allah's plan is not rushed and it is never late. Everything happens exactly when it is meant to happen. This belief allows you to wait without losing hope. You remain steady, knowing that what is written for you is on its way, even if you cannot see it yet. Your self-respect is protected when you trust in Allah's decree. You do not chase people or lower yourself for opportunities, because you know that your rizq and your future are already written. You do not need to beg for what Allah has already planned to give you. This understanding gives you dignity and confidence. You move through life with a sense of calm assurance, knowing that what is yours will come to you in the right way and at the right time. Avoiding sins becomes more meaningful when you remember that your future is written. You realize that your actions still matter, that your choices are part of your journey, and that staying close to Allah brings barakah into your life. Sin can cloud your heart and make you feel restless, while obedience brings peace and clarity. When you strive to live in a way that pleases Allah, your journey becomes lighter and your heart becomes more at ease with whatever unfolds. There will be moments when your heart feels weak and your mind returns to worry. This is part of being human. But in those moments, remind yourself again, your future is already written by Allah. The same Allah who brought you this far will not abandon you now. Reflect on how many times things worked out when you least expected it. Those moments were not accidents, they were part of Allah's plan. And just as He helped you before, He will continue to guide you forward. At the end of it all, true peace comes from surrendering your future to Allah. You do your part, you make your effort, and you leave the rest to Him. You stop trying to control everything and start trusting deeply. And in that trust, your heart finds rest. You move forward with hope instead of fear, with calm instead of anxiety, because your future is not uncertain. It is already written by the one who is most merciful, most wise, and always in control. Worrying does not change what is decreed. Worry has become a habit for many people, especially when thinking about the future. You sit and replay situations in your mind, imagining outcomes, trying to predict what might happen next. But no matter how much you worry, it does not change what Allah has already decreed. It only drains your energy and disturbs your peace. Islam teaches us that what is written will come to pass, whether you worry about it or not. So the question becomes, what is the benefit of carrying this heavy burden in your heart? When you begin to understand that worrying cannot alter your destiny, you start to let go. You realize that your time and energy are better spent in trust, in action, and in turning to Allah. My beloved brothers and sisters, worry often feels like you are doing something productive, as if you are preparing yourself for what is coming. But in reality, it is a cycle that keeps you stuck. You think you are solving problems, but you are only repeating fears. Allah has already written your path with complete knowledge and wisdom. Nothing surprises Him and nothing escapes His control. When you remind yourself of this, you begin to see how unnecessary worry truly is. You are not responsible for controlling every outcome. You are responsible for trusting Allah and doing your part. Worrying often comes from a desire to feel in control. You want to know what will happen, how it will happen, and when it will happen. But life does not work that way. Allah has kept the future hidden for a reason. If you knew everything, you would not need to trust Him. This uncertainty is meant to bring you closer to Allah, not to push you into anxiety. When you accept that you do not need to know everything, your heart begins to relax. You start to live with more ease, focusing on your present actions instead of being consumed by unknown outcomes. Overthinking is closely tied to worry, and it can take over your mind if you allow it. You analyze every detail, consider every possibility, and still feel unsure. This constant thinking does not bring clarity, it brings exhaustion. Trusting in Allah breaks the cycle. It reminds you that your future is already in safe hands. You do not need to think about every possibility, because Allah already knows what is best for you. When you let go of excessive thinking, you create space for peace to enter your heart. Dua is the most powerful response response to worry. Instead of carrying your fears alone, you bring them to Allah. You speak to Him honestly, asking for ease, guidance and protection. In that moment, your heart feels lighter because you are no longer holding everything inside. Allah listens to every word, every thought and every concern. When you turn your worry into dua, you transform your anxiety into hope. You begin to feel supported, knowing that the one who controls everything is aware of your situation. Worry also takes away your ability to be present. When your mind is constantly focused on the future, you miss the blessings of the moment you are in. Islam teaches us to be mindful, to appreciate what Allah has given us right now. When you shift your focus from what might happen to what is happening, you begin to feel more grounded. You notice the small blessings in your life, and those blessings bring comfort to your heart. This presence reduces anxiety and helps you live with more gratitude. Sometimes worry is rooted in past experiences. You may have gone through difficulties before, and those memories make you fearful of what is ahead, but your past does not define your future. Allah's mercy is always present, and He can change your situation at any moment. When you hold on to your past fears, you limit your ability to trust in what Allah can do for you now. Letting go of those fears allows you to move forward with a heart that is open to new possibilities. Patience is essential when dealing with worry. You may not be able to stop worrying instantly, but you can gradually replace it with trust. Each time you feel anxious, remind yourself that worrying will not change what is written. Choose to be patient instead. This patience strengthens your faith and helps you develop a calmer mindset. Over time, you will notice that your worries become less intense and less frequent. Your self-respect is affected by how much you worry. When you are constantly anxious, you may feel weak or uncertain about your ability to handle life. But when you trust Allah and reduce your worry, you begin to feel stronger. You realize that you are capable of facing challenges with faith and resilience. This shift in mindset improves how you see yourself and how you approach your life. Avoiding sins also helps in reducing worry. Sin can create restlessness in your heart, making anxiety stronger. When you strive to stay close to Allah, seeking forgiveness and improving your actions, your heart becomes lighter. You feel a sense of peace that makes it easier to trust Allah. This connection between your spiritual state and your emotional well-being is powerful and should not be overlooked. Taking action is another way to overcome worry. When you focus on what you can do, you shift your energy from thinking to doing. This gives you a sense of progress and control over your efforts. You do not need to control the results. You only need to make sincere effort. When you combine action with trust in Allah, you create a balanced approach that reduces anxiety and increases confidence. At the end of it all, remember that worrying does not change what Allah has decreed. It only takes away your peace and distracts you from what truly matters. Choose to replace your worry with trust, your fear with faith, and your overthinking with dua. Your future is already written, and it is in the hands of the most merciful. When you truly believe this, your heart finds rest, and you begin to move through life with calmness and hope. Allah's plan is always better than your fear. Fear often comes from imagining outcomes that have not happened. And many times, those imagined outcomes are far worse than reality. You begin to build scenarios in your mind, expecting loss, failure, or disappointment. And this creates a heaviness in your heart. But Allah's plan is not based on your fears. It is based on His perfect knowledge and mercy. What you fear may never happen, and what Allah plans may bring you ease in ways you never expected. When you reflect on this, you start to see how limited your perspective is compared to Allah's wisdom. Your fear looks at what could go wrong, but Allah's plan looks at what is best for you in this life and the next. And that difference changes everything. My beloved brothers and sisters, there were moments in your life when you feared something deeply, yet when it passed, you realized it was not as bad as you thought. Or perhaps something you feared actually led you to something better. This is a reminder that your your fear is not always accurate. Allah's plan, however, is always precise. It carries wisdom that you may not understand at the moment, but later it becomes clear. When you begin to trust this, your fear loses its grip on your heart, because you know that what Allah chooses for you is never without purpose. Fear often tries to convince you that the future will harm you, that things will go wrong, and that you will not be able to handle it. But Allah's plan includes strength, growth, and protection. Even when you face challenges, they are not meant to break you, they are meant to shape you. Allah does not test you beyond what you can bear. This means that whatever comes your way, you have the ability, with Allah's help, to handle it. When you remember this, your fear begins to transform into trust, because you realize that you are never alone in your struggles. Overthinking feeds your fear by making you focus on possibilities instead of realities. You imagine outcomes without knowing what Allah has planned, and this creates unnecessary stress. But when you shift your focus to Allah's plan, you stop trying to control everything. You accept that you do not need to know every detail, because Allah already knows. This acceptance brings peace to your mind. You begin to trust the process instead of fearing it, and this trust allows you to move forward with a calm heart. Dua is one of the strongest ways to replace fear with trust. When you feel afraid, you turn to Allah and ask for ease, protection, and guidance. You speak to Him about your worries, knowing that He understands you better than anyone else. In that moment, your fear begins to soften. You are reminded that Allah is in control and that nothing happens without His permission. This connection through dua strengthens your faith and helps you see your situation with more clarity and hope. Sometimes Allah's plan involves delays, and these delays can create fear. You may think that something is not happening because it is not meant for you, or that you are being left behind. But in reality, delays often carry hidden blessings. Allah may be protecting you, preparing you, or guiding you towards something better. When you trust that His timing is perfect, you begin to see delays differently. They are not signs of failure. They are part of a process that is shaping your future in the best way possible. Your self-respect is strengthened when you trust Allah's plan over your fear. Fear can make you act out of desperation, causing you to chase things that are not good for you, or to accept situations that harm your dignity. But when you rely on Allah, you move with patience and confidence. You do not rush into decisions out of fear. You wait for what is right, knowing that Allah will provide for you in the best way. This mindset protects your heart and keeps your actions aligned with your values. Avoiding sins is also connected to trusting Allah's plan. When you act out of fear, you may be tempted to take shortcuts or make choices that do not please Allah. But when you trust His plan, you remain patient and committed to doing what is right. You understand that barakah comes from obedience, not from rushing toward outcomes. This awareness helps you stay on the right path and ensures that your journey is filled with peace and blessings. Fear often focuses on loss, but Allah's plan focuses on what you gain. Even when something is taken away, it may be replaced with something better. You may not see it immediately, but with time, you begin to understand why things happened the way they did. Allah's plan is not about taking from you without reason. It is about guiding you toward what is best. When you trust this, you begin to let go of your fears and embrace what is ahead with hope. Patience becomes easier when you believe that Allah's plan is better than your fear. You are no longer rushing to escape uncertainty. Instead, you are willing to wait, knowing that what is coming is worth the patience. This patience brings peace to your heart and helps you stay consistent in your efforts. You continue to do your part while trusting that Allah will take care of the rest. There will be moments when your fear feels strong and your heart begins to doubt. In those moments, remind yourself of who Allah is. He is the most merciful, the most wise, and the one who cares for you more than you can imagine. He would never write something for you without a purpose. When you reflect on His names and His attributes, your fear begins to weaken and your trust begins to to grow. At the end of it all, remember that your fear is based on what you do not know, but Allah's plan is based on complete knowledge. What you imagine may never happen, but what Allah plans will always be for your benefit. Trust Him with your future, even when you do not understand it. Replace your fear with faith, your worry with dua, and your doubt with trust. Because when you rely on Allah, you begin to see that what He has planned for you is far better than anything you could have feared. Trust in Allah brings in a calm. Trust in Allah has a unique way of calming the heart in a world full of noise, pressure, and uncertainty. When everything around you feels unstable, your connection with Allah becomes your anchor. Many people search for peace in external things, in success, in approval, or in control. But true calmness does not come from these sources. It comes from knowing that Allah is in control of everything. When you place your trust in Him, you stop feeling like you have to carry every burden alone. You realize that you are not responsible for managing every outcome, only for making sincere effort. This understanding brings a deep sense of relief, and that relief slowly transforms into inner calm that stays with you even during difficult times. My beloved brothers and sisters, the heart was created to rely on Allah, and when it does not, it becomes restless. You may try to fill that emptiness with distractions or achievements, but the calm you are searching for will remain out of reach. Trust in Allah is what aligns your heart with its true purpose. When you remember that Allah knows your situation better than you do, your worries begin to soften. You stop questioning everything and start accepting that there is wisdom behind what you are experiencing. This acceptance is not weakness, it is strength rooted in faith. Anxiety often comes from trying to control what you cannot control. You think about the future, the outcomes and the possibilities, and your mind becomes overwhelmed. But when you trust Allah, you release that need for control. You accept that your role is to do your best and leave the rest to Him. This shift changes how you think and how you feel. Instead of being trapped in endless worry, you begin to experience a sense of ease. You no longer feel like everything depends on you, and that realization alone brings a powerful calmness. Overthinking is one of the biggest obstacles to inner peace. You replay situations, analyze decisions, and imagine scenarios that may never happen. This constant thinking drains your energy and disturbs your heart. Trusting Allah helps you break this cycle. It reminds you that you do not need to have all the answers. Allah already knows what is best for you, and He will guide you accordingly. When you let go of excessive thinking, your mind begins to rest and your heart begins to feel lighter. Dua plays a central role in building inner calm. When you speak to Allah about your fears and your worries, you release the weight you have been carrying. You are reminded that you are not alone, that Allah is always near, always listening. This connection brings comfort that cannot be found elsewhere. Even before your situation changes, your heart changes. You feel supported, understood, and cared for. This is the power of turning to Allah with sincerity. Sometimes the calm you are searching for is delayed because Allah is teaching you patience. You may want immediate relief, immediate answers, and immediate clarity, but Allah's plan unfolds in its own time. When you trust His timing, you begin to feel peace even in waiting. You understand that delays are not denials, they are part of a greater plan. This perspective helps you remain patient and hopeful even when things are not going as you expected. Trust in Allah also strengthens your self-respect. When you rely on people or circumstances for your peace, you become dependent and easily shaken. But when your trust is in Allah, you become more stable. You do not need constant reassurance from others, and you do not lose yourself in trying to please people. Your sense of worth comes from your connection with Allah, and that gives you a confidence that is calm and steady. Avoiding sins plays a significant role in achieving inner calm. Sin creates restlessness in the heart, making it harder to feel peace. When you strive to stay close to Allah, to seek forgiveness, and to improve your actions, your heart becomes lighter. You begin to feel a clarity that comes from being aligned with what pleases Allah. This alignment brings a deep sense of calm that cannot be replaced by anything else. Taking action with trust in Allah also contributes to inner peace. When you do what you can and leave the the results to Allah. You free yourself from unnecessary pressure. You focus on your efforts without being overwhelmed by outcomes. This balance allows you to move forward with confidence and calmness. You are no longer paralyzed by fear or uncertainty. You are guided by trust and purpose. There will be moments when your calm is tested, when challenges arise and your heart feels heavy again. In those moments, remind yourself of how many times Allah has brought you through difficulties before. Reflect on the times when things worked out in ways you did not expect. These reminders strengthen your trust and help you regain your calm. They show you that Allah has always been there for you and He will continue to be. Inner calm is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of trust. Your life may still have challenges, uncertainties and tests, but your heart feels steady because it relies on Allah. This steadiness allows you to face difficulties with patience and strength. You are not easily shaken because your foundation is strong. At the end of it all, trust in Allah is what brings true peace to your heart. It allows you to live with hope instead of fear, with patience instead of frustration, and with calm instead of anxiety. You continue to make your effort, to make your dua, and to rely on Allah in every situation. And in that reliance, you find the inner calm that so many people are searching for. A calm that stays with you no matter what life brings. Overthinking steals your peace. Overthinking is a silent burden that many people carry without realizing how much it is affecting them. You sit with your thoughts going over the same situations again and again, trying to find answers that are not meant to be known yet. This constant thinking does not bring clarity, it brings exhaustion. Your mind becomes busy, but your heart becomes restless. Islam teaches us that peace is not found in controlling every thought, but in trusting Allah with what you cannot understand. When you allow overthinking to take over, you slowly lose the calmness that comes from relying on Allah. But when you step back and remind yourself that not everything needs to be solved in your mind, your heart begins to feel lighter and more at ease. My beloved brothers and sisters, overthinking often comes from fear. You fear what might happen, what people might say, or what could go wrong. So you try to prepare yourself by thinking through every possible outcome. But this only traps you in a cycle of worry. Allah did not create you to live in constant mental struggle. He created you to trust Him. When you understand that your future is already in His hands, you begin to see how unnecessary this overthinking truly is. You realize that you are carrying a burden that does not belong to you. When your mind is constantly active, your heart does not get the chance to rest. You may feel physically tired even when you have not done much, because your thoughts have drained your energy. Overthinking takes away your ability to enjoy the present moment. You are either stuck in the past or worried about the future, missing the blessings that are right in front of you. But when you choose to trust Allah, you begin to bring your focus back to the present. You start to appreciate what you have, and this appreciation brings peace. Overthinking also creates doubt in your decisions. You question yourself, your choices and your abilities even after you have done your best. This doubt can hold you back from taking action or make you regret decisions that were made with good intentions. But when you trust Allah, you understand that once you have made a sincere effort, the outcome is in His hands. You do not need to keep questioning what has already been decided. This trust gives you confidence and helps you move forward without being stuck in doubt. Dua is one of the most effective ways to break free from overthinking. Instead of keeping your thoughts inside your mind, you bring them to Allah. You express your concerns, your fears and your uncertainties, and in doing so, you release the pressure. Allah listens to you without judgment and understands you completely. This connection helps you feel supported and reduces the need to keep everything inside your mind. Your thoughts become lighter and your heart becomes calmer. Sometimes overthinking is rooted in past experiences. You may have been hurt, disappointed, or confused before, and now you try to prevent those feelings from happening again. But constantly revisiting the past only keeps you stuck in it. Allah has given you the ability to move forward, to learn and to grow. When you trust in His plan, you allow allow yourself to let go of what has already happened and focus on what is ahead. This release brings freedom to your mind and peace to your heart. Patience plays a key role in overcoming overthinking. You may want immediate answers and clear outcomes, but not everything is meant to be known right away. Allah reveals things at the right time. When you accept this, you stop trying to force clarity before it is meant to come. You become more comfortable with uncertainty, knowing that Allah's timing is always perfect. This patience reduces the urge to overthink and helps you remain calm. Avoiding sins also helps in reducing overthinking. Sin can create inner unrest, making your thoughts more chaotic and your heart more unsettled. When you strive to stay close to Allah, your heart becomes cleaner and your mind becomes clearer. You feel a sense of peace that makes it easier to trust and let go. The spiritual connection plays a powerful role in calming your thoughts and reducing overthinking. Taking action is another way to overcome overthinking. When you remain still, your mind has more space to wander. But when you focus on doing what you can, your thoughts become more directed and purposeful. You shift from thinking to doing, and this shift reduces unnecessary mental activity. You begin to feel more productive and less overwhelmed, which helps restore your sense of peace. Your self-respect grows when you learn to control your thoughts instead of letting them control you. You begin to see that you are not your thoughts and you do not have to follow every idea that comes into your mind. This awareness gives you power over your thinking patterns. You become more mindful of what you allow into your mind and more intentional about how you respond to it. There will be moments when overthinking returns, and that is part of being human. But each time it does, you have the choice to respond differently. You can choose to trust Allah instead of getting lost in your thoughts. You can remind yourself that not everything needs to be figured out right now. With practice, this becomes easier and your mind becomes more peaceful. At the end of it all, overthinking steals your peace because it takes you away from trust in Allah. When you return that trust, your thoughts begin to settle and your heart begins to rest. You learn to live with acceptance, patience and faith. You stop trying to control everything and start trusting the one who is in control of everything. And in that trust, you find a calmness that overthinking could never give you. Every delay has wisdom behind it. Every delay in your life is not without reason. It carries a wisdom that may not be visible to you right now. You may feel like you are falling behind, watching others move ahead while you remain in the same place. This feeling can create frustration and even doubt within your heart. But understand this clearly. Allah does not delay something except that there is good in that delay. What you see as late may actually be perfectly timed according to a plan that you cannot fully see. When you begin to accept that delays are part of Allah's wisdom, your heart starts to soften. You stop measuring your life by timelines and begin trusting the one who controls time itself. My beloved brothers and sisters, many times you ask Allah for something and expect it to come quickly. When it does not, you begin to question why. But Allah's knowledge is not limited like yours. He sees what is ahead, what is hidden, and what you are not ready for yet. Sometimes the delay is because you need to grow, to learn, or to become stronger before receiving what you are asking for. If it came too early, it might not benefit you in the way it is meant to. This understanding changes how you view waiting, from something painful into something purposeful. Delays often protect you from things you do not even realize could harm you. You may want something deeply, believing it will bring you happiness, but Allah knows the full reality of that situation. He knows what it could lead to, what it might take from you, and how it could affect your future. So He delays it not to deprive you, but to protect you. When you reflect on this, you begin to see delays not as rejection but as mercy. And that mercy is something your heart can learn to trust. Overthinking becomes stronger when you focus on delays without understanding their purpose. You begin to question your worth, your efforts and your direction. But when you remind yourself that every delay has wisdom behind it, your thoughts begin to calm. You stop assuming the worst and start trusting that something better is being prepared for you. This This shift in thinking reduces anxiety and helps you stay grounded in your faith. Dua becomes more meaningful during times of delay. When things are not happening as quickly as you want, you turn to Allah more sincerely. You ask with humility, with hope, and with patience. These moments strengthen your relationship with Allah. You begin to rely on Him more deeply, and that connection becomes a source of comfort. Even before your situation changes, your heart feels closer to Allah, and that closeness brings peace. Patience is the key that unlocks the wisdom behind delays. It is not easy to wait, especially when you desire something strongly, but patience teaches you to trust Allah's timing over your own. It reminds you that what is meant for you will come at the right moment, not a moment too early or too late. When you develop patience, you begin to feel less restless and more at ease with the process of your life. Your self-respect is preserved when you accept delays with trust instead of desperation. When people feel delayed, they may lower their standards or chase things that are not right for them. But when you trust Allah, you do not need to rush or compromise your values. You know that what is written for you will reach you in a way that aligns with your dignity. This belief gives you strength and keeps your heart steady. Avoiding sins is also important during times of delay. Sometimes impatience can lead a person to take shortcuts or make choices that are not pleasing to Allah. But when you remain firm in your faith, seeking forgiveness and staying on the right path, you invite barakah into your waiting. Your delay becomes a period of purification and growth rather than frustration and regret. Taking action while waiting is also part of understanding delays. You do not stop your efforts just because results are not immediate. You continue to work, to improve, and to grow, trusting that your efforts are not wasted. Allah sees every step you take, even when you do not see the results yet. This combination of action and patience creates a powerful foundation for your future. Sometimes the delay itself is preparing you for something greater than what you originally asked for. You may have a certain expectation, but Allah has something better in store. If you received what you wanted immediately, you might have missed out on something far more beneficial. This realization helps you trust the process and remain hopeful even when things are not going as planned. There will be moments when waiting feels heavy, when your heart feels tired and your patience feels tested. In those moments, remind yourself of how many times Allah has guided you before. Reflect on the times when things worked out in ways you did not expect. These reminders strengthen your faith and help you continue with hope. At the end of it all, every delay in your life is part of a greater plan designed by Allah. It is not random and it is not without purpose. When you trust this, your heart finds peace even in waiting. You continue to make your effort, to make your dua, and to rely on Allah, knowing that what is coming is worth the wait. And when it finally arrives, you will understand why it was delayed, and your heart will be filled with gratitude and contentment. Relying on Allah removes anxiety. Relying on Allah has a profound effect on the heart, especially in a world filled with uncertainty and pressure. When you depend only on yourself or on people, your anxiety increases because everything feels unstable. But when your reliance shifts to Allah, something inside you begins to settle. You realize that you are not alone in carrying your burdens. Allah is in control of every situation, every outcome, and every detail of your life. This understanding removes a heavy weight from your chest. You no longer feel like everything depends on you, and that realization alone brings a deep sense of calm that cannot be achieved through control or planning alone. My beloved brothers and sisters, anxiety often comes from trying to manage what is beyond your ability.